Pretty much.
All right, time out. So real quick, we're going to kind of talk a little bit. Class tonight's canceled. There's about a 50% chance I'll post it. 100% chance I'll post it. 50% chance I'll post it before 5:30. 5:40. You know, Grace seminar coming up in 2 weeks here at the Academy. Yeah, so we're going to talk a little bit about understanding. So if I'm in a position where the guy has an advantage, it's super important for me to move to, if I can, position myself as best as possible, right? Like the best thing possible that I can do if the guy's in a position where he's advantaged. These little like nuanced things will start to play a big role in determining the outcome of what goes on. And in the beginning, when we first started to learn Jiu-Jitsu, we're just like, you know, I mean, if we can halfway start in the right position when somebody's mounted on us, that's great. We can just like halfway do it the right way. And then we're gradually like constantly trying to find an opportunity to do the technique we know, right? If we know one escape or two escapes, we're just constantly trying to do them. And we're kind of, I always used to say like, Jiu-Jitsu works a lot like when you're in a position, if you know 8 submissions, it's like putting like 8 bullets in a magazine and then just pulling the trigger 8 times. And it doesn't really matter what order they're in, you're just firing your techniques at them as fast as you can. And hopefully one of them sticks. When we start to be a little bit more intelligent on the mat, we're trying to do the technique in the appropriate time. And then when we get to be a little bit more intelligent than that, we're trying to maybe even create the opportunity to do the technique that we want to do. And I would say even a level of intelligence a little bit higher than that is we're trying to move to the best possible position we can to give us options to do all this kind of stuff. And this requires us to learn different ways to move our bodies and all that kind of stuff. So we're going to start off kind of looking at one of those a little bit. We kind of got to build and teach the technique or the submission that we're going for right here, because this can be considered somewhat of a little bit of a disguised entry. It's nothing fancy. You've probably all seen it before. Not this technique, but the next one. This technique you've all seen before. Jeremy, please. Jeremy's mounted. He raises up. My hands come up. Maybe he throws strikes. Maybe I'm just being lazy with my elbows. My hands are in this position. He's just going to go for this basic Americana. He can go either side. I would recommend you actually practice both sides today. Do one side like 3 times, switch with your partner. They do it, then switch and then go the other side 3 times, because it's kind of important that we can do the next part of this, all move on either side. So from here, he's going to take a hand on my wrist, hand on my elbow. From here, he's going to lean his weight forward. I'm going to give him a little resistance, not a lot, but he pushes. Eventually, my elbow goes to the ground, right? From this position, from here, he slides his hand under the elbow, palm up, walks his fingers under, turns his palm over. From here, head down. He slowly drags the arm down, keeps my wrist pinned to the ground, or the back of my hand pinned to the ground. I'm going to tap, right? So again, from here, he goes to do it one more time. We're here. Again, I'm giving him a little bit of resistance. But what I'm not doing is I'm not rotating my body. So I'm giving him a little bit of resistance, right? So he goes to push. He really leans his weight. There's a reason we're doing that, right? From here, his elbow goes to the ground. He turns his palm up, walks his fingers underneath. Once he does that, he turns his palm over, catches his own wrist, puts his head down, slowly drags the arm down, driving the back of my hand to the ground the whole time to finish the Americana. Now, a couple things here. If he goes to do the other side, we all have different frees. We all have different issues, right? Sometimes some of us got bad shoulders, some of us got bad everything, but whatever. So, but I do want you giving your partner a little bit of resistance right here. Not a lot. What I want the guy on top doing is not being super aggressive right off the bat and just trying to shove, right? I don't want Jeremy lean back a little. I don't want him pushing, i.e. extending his arms to drop. I want him having his arms extended, and then I want him leaning his weight on it. And I'm just giving him a little bit of resistance right here. And he's leaning his weight on it. This will start to become important when we go to the next technique. From here, palm up, fingers under, drags down, and finishes with this basic Americana. I think we've probably all seen the Americana, so I'm not going to go super detailed on any further explanation than that. The key is I want you to, arms locked, leaning your weight forward on the guy on the bottom, giving you a questions? We'll do it. Talk about is like, and obviously there's something a little bit different going on here. Jeremy may not have access to slide up if my elbow stays low. So if he's here and he goes to Americanomy, and this elbow stays low right here, he may not have access to slide up. Okay. Well, a lot of times what happens is raise up. If a guy's hands come up, or if his hand comes up, a lot of time the other one will come up. A lot of time, if we're here and he starts to push just a little bit, right, and starts to pin that arm to the ground, right, as I tense up, this elbow rotates in this direction as well. Now, there's going to be a point where you feel enough of your weight is forward on this arm, and there's kind of a pivot point that your weight shifts to. Hard for me to tell you where that's at. You're going to feel that, and that's going to change as your ability grows and increases, and you get better at doing this move. It may be the arm's on the ground, right? So Jeremy goes to pin my arm, maybe even I hug it like this. He really goes. Now when he pins the arm on the ground, he can start to slide himself to this position. Now, from here, again, maybe he gets here, and now he's like, I like what I got right here, and maybe he slides the knee around even more. He makes like a second slide and makes that full adjustment, right? But in the beginning, just starting to make that toggle and slide wherever we can slide, it's fine. Now, for Jeremy, if he does it again, and I can't tell him exactly where it is, but if Jeremy feels like, can you slide now?
Slide now?
Probably not, right? Yeah, so it's not here, but somewhere between with me, if he gives it a good push and I go, he can probably start to slide his body right here, right? And again, from here, he's in a position where not only, it's not just go for the arm lock. We're not just, he can go for the arm lock. He's now in a position where he's got a lot of different attacks. And the reality is, anytime my arm's on the inside, if I bring this arm to the inside, I have the ability to defend what he's doing with the Americana, right? So he's positioning himself for a better position. Again, we can do it the other side. We're here, he goes to go here, he pushes, yes. Whenever he feels like he can, he's here in this position. And obviously, if we're teaching a class, we can be like, now he can hug my arm, right here. Now he can pin my head. Now he can go for an arm lock. That's cool. But what I care more about is you understanding this relationship of you're here, you're attacking the arms, either one, the guy's tense, starts to hug, you start to move yourself to a better position. Again, a lot of times, if I'm Jeremy right here, I don't go for the arm. I take this arm, go back, hug under the head, yes, and I'll start doing this. If you like going for the arm, that's cool. I'm not saying you have to go for this. I'm just saying there's a lot of options right here for stuff to go for. And if you're bigger in relation to your partner, you may have to pin this on the ground before you feel like you can move yourself around. That's fine. It's totally fine. I just want to get you in the habit of moving your hips this way. This is a good place to start teaching that, and this is a good place to start understanding the concept of getting yourself to a better position is going to give you a better result. Yes?
Is Mahoney just making connection with his chest of the arm, or are you carrying his weight when he slides up?
He makes a connection, I think, maybe like eventually, but in the beginning, it's just about his weight shift. Is that?
Yeah, my inside of my knee, if I'm serious about keeping that arm across, the inside of my knee is going to slide up behind his shoulder or tricep to keep it there for sure. Yeah, but to move the weight, like Mickey's saying, you can feel a point where, like, it's almost when this shoulder, from going this arm to this shoulder, when it starts to come up, that's when I can get my knees light and shift my weight and move up. That's what I really care about feeling.
Cool. Another question? I got to play around. Question? Yeah, so here's the thing. We're just teaching how to move your body on this position, on this kind of thing right here. That's the goal of today's class, is kind of teach you that, teach you different things. We might do a couple of different finishes. Yes, sir. But to see a couple different ways to do it, it's the same technique. You get a lot of people who raise your hand if you feel like, I'm not very good at moving myself to this position right here. Raise your hand, anybody? Yeah, so cool. Here's the deal. Take like a watch halfway apart, put it all in a box, throw it in a safe. 2 years, go back and look at it. It's going to be in the same state you left it. It will not miraculously put itself together. It won't be working. It won't be functioning. It'll be exactly like you left it. That's exactly how your jiu-jitsu is. So if you aren't good at it today and you don't do anything for 2 years, you won't be good at it then. So if you're not good at it, practice. And here's the thing. There's a direct correlation to your size and your ability to move your weight in relation to your partner and how good you're going to be at this. And I had a guy one time who told me that, and he didn't think this was true. And I said, cool. I grabbed a kid from the kids' class. It was over on the side. I said, dude, move to him. He goes, try to do it. He can't do it until he's pinning it on the ground like I had to do with him. And I was like, yeah, because as it turns out, when you're twice somebody's size, you can't put enough of your weight on your arm to move your body unless that one's pinned to the ground. So it's different for everybody. It's okay. It doesn't have to be your move. If you're bigger, especially if you're a bigger relation to the person you go with, or typically you are, it doesn't have to be your favorite move, but you have to be competent at it. Right? You don't have to be incredible, but you have to be competent at it. Jeremy, please. So Jeremy's gonna do right now, same concept, hand inside the collar, right? But maybe this hand comes up. Jeremy's gonna take this wrist, and he's gonna start to pin it to the ground. And as he starts to pin it to the ground from here, whenever he can, he's gonna go. Yes. He's gonna go the other side, hand in the collar. Right here, whenever he can, he goes to pin this to the ground, and he goes. Yes. This movement to us isn't second nature. It needs to be. And if you're bigger, you're gonna have to pin this to the ground and then go. That's okay. Not a big deal. Again, we'll grab a 70-pound kid. Everybody in class would have to do it that way. It's about getting enough of your weight forward that you can now shift your weight. This one's a little bit easier because your knuckles are on the ground. So technically, some of us can just put our knuckles on the ground and do it, but you get the gist of what I'm saying, right? So with your partner, hand inside the collar, back out, one on the ground, one on the bottom, one on the ground, I guess. Cross arm, right? So if his right arm is in my collar, mirror image, same side, my arm just comes over the top so he can grab it and goes to pin it to the ground. And obviously, you know, you can do this. Go ahead and block this. But we all know Jeremy's gonna put his elbow on the, no, go back. Just elbow on the ground and do this jerk choke to me.
It's not a jerk.
Yeah.
That's legitimate.
Yeah.
That's a
Jerk
legitimate.
choke. He's gonna do the jerk choke to me. So I'm not gonna do that. So I'm not gonna leave my elbow down, right? I mean, there's options for everything, right? So he puts his hand in the collar. He grabs this arm, and I'm kind of bringing my arm to the center because I want him to get a sense of feel of what he should do. If he feels this elbow down, he's gonna do that choke. If he feels my elbow come up, and maybe my elbow comes up to grab, that's fine. Or maybe as he's pushing, just through the toggle of my body, he feels the elbow come up. Either way, he moves to this position. Questions? All right, let's do it.
Real quick, right? You lay out. Yeah, go ahead this direction for me. One thing I'm seeing a few people do this, and we've got enough reps in now. You know, if I get here and I go through all this work to get, you know, up to this position, my right leg now, I'm protective of this space because I don't want to get all the way to here and come up. It's hard to see with, you know, Mickey and I's size discrepancy. But if I let my knee flare out like this to the right, or I give a lot of space, Mickey's last kind of way out would be to dive this arm under this leg and do a backdoor escape, right? And it's not clean for either of us, but it is a way out. It is the last way out.
Hold on 1 second. It's a little bit whatever now because I took my hand to the outside.
Yeah.
My arm was underneath like that. What he's saying is I can start to kind of dunk underneath.
It's a problem.
So you have a visual. Anyway.
Yep. So I don't want to go through all that work to get to here. I am protective of this space, right? Now, you're not always going to get complete, like seal up all this space. And, you know, if I were rolling with a few people in here that are smaller than me, even if I can't take all this space away with my knee here, I will never let my knee be upright and certainly not flared out like that. I am always aware of leaning this in like a kickstand, at least, right? So if he starts to push against it and do this escape, I've got time, I've still got options, I can switch to, you know, the arm or a loop choke or whatever else, right? So when you get to this position, do be aware of this top leg, right? Don't give him this easy way out.
One time me doing it on you.
Yeah.
It'll be a lot more
Visible.
visible.
Are you, why?
I'm less spatially efficient than you.
Okay.
If we're just here, we don't have to worry about pinning the arm. But if we're here, if I slide up, you know, a ton of guys do this. Like, I mean, there's all that space right there.
Yep.
And even though his arm's on the top, not under. If it was under, he's gone, right? it's something I'm super, one more time I'll do it right. I'm super cautious about this when I do it because there's a huge gap there. So for me, I have to be accommodating this, like Jeremy's saying, this leg has to be accommodating to this leg so it can get where it needs to go, but it can't be too accommodating. So I'm clamping right here. I don't open my knee up any more than that. Jeremy tries to push my knee open to go under it, right? If I need to, I'll kind of come around to block that space, but I can't open this up, and I certainly can't from here, like he said, open it up like that, right? A couple more times. Questions? All right, so a common thing that happens right here, especially if my arm goes under, we're doing this today just to do this. There's no like, oh, this is gonna make him do this, and this is gonna make him do that. At the end of the day, Jeremy's just putting himself in a position where he has a ton of attacks, and he has a ton of options. Now, if I happen to take my arm underneath his arm, not his leg right now, I may be taking it underneath to take it underneath his leg because I know what I'm doing and I'm a little bit more intelligent from a grappling perspective, or maybe it's just my arm ends up underneath his arm. But either way, if my arm ends up underneath his cross choke arm, typically the arm lock, it requires some work. It's more than one step away, right? Which shows what I'm talking about right here. So if he's here, it's kind of probably the best thing. He puts his hand in the collar, he goes right here. As I turn, if my arm's under, this arm is a couple steps away from him arm locking. Right? He's got to fight for position with the arm. Now what he has is he's got two hands relative proximity to my neck. So I think it always makes a better, and maybe I did this to try get my elbow under his leg backdoor escape we just talked about, or maybe I just did it because dumb luck, this is where I ended up. But either way, Jeremy has a sense of feel right now. So when he feels that, he's going to take the arm underneath the neck, hand off. Right from here, he can hold the elbow, he can hold right here, he can hold whatever he wants to hold, and he finishes the choke. Right? Again, rotate angles just a little bit here. So one more time. What's setting this up, without worrying about this right now, right? What's setting this up is my hands going underneath, right? And again, I could be going underneath because I know to attack this leg to escape. I could go underneath because it's Tuesday, right? So it's whatever. So he says he's pinning this arm goes under, he turns me and slides up. When he gets to this position, from here, he just takes the hand behind the neck, freeze, cuts the thumb under with the fingers open like this, feeds the lapel one to the other, rolls it up into this knuckle, makes a good grip, like he's looking at his wristwatch, turn that wrist that way. From here, he just has to stop me from unwinding. He can hold this arm, he can hold this arm, he can hold the lapel, right? He can reach and grab my pant leg right here. It all stops me from unwinding, don't worry. I'm not going to be choked unconscious yet. So from here, once he does, key detail, what I want to do right now, if I feel this happening, what I want to do is start to go like, get my head out of this hole. So key detail for Jeremy, as he finishes the choke, he rotates his elbow to his hip bone. Go ahead. Right, and again, why does he make a grip on my hand, or my arm, my other arm, my lapel, or my pant leg? To stop me from unwinding the choke, that's it, right? It's not to make the choke better. It doesn't help finish the choke. It doesn't help complete the choke. It just stops with the choke on. Yep, it just stops me from unwinding. If he holds the choke, relax your foot so it don't hurt your ankle. I can roll to unwind the choke if he doesn't stop me from turning my body, right? So you just got to grab something, just something so I can't roll. It can be anything, right? It doesn't matter, as long as it stops me from turning my body to roll. Questions? All right, let's do it.
These metrosexual genes.
Everybody knows somebody that wears an extra medium gi, right? Everybody knows somebody that wears an extra medium gi.
Yeah.
3 sizes too small. They're like, oh, the only reason I wear it is because like the Lee and Sons doesn't make these anymore, so.
It is a good gi.
Yeah, no name.
This goes on YouTube. I wish they'd bring it back.
It's funny. We had a couple guys in the academy buy the Lee and Sons gis, literally. And I actually called him and I talked to the main guy. And I was like, hey man, I think I want to get academy gis made, you guys, whatever, price point, everything agreed on. Homeboy called me, it's like, it's literally the West Coast gis sales version of me. He was like, yeah man, it's just a little bit more work than I want to do Jeremy tried to buy, when they went out of business, Jeremy called him and tried to see if they had any leftover stock, and he wanted to buy it, all that they had to his size. The guy was like, yeah, man,
I don't want to go out to the warehouse.
I don't want to go lift in the boxes.
I was like, I'll buy any white A2 you have, any one. Nah, I'm good.
So the question Jim asked was, and I'm gonna be real lazy here with my legs, so it is what it is. But the question Jim asked is, what if the guy's really putting his head down? He's got one of the medium keys on, he's tucking his chin, and I'm not gonna be too gnarly or anything like that on Jeremy's neck. The key is like two things. Each one of my hands has to do the appropriate thing. First of all, thumbs up, and I'm gonna fold that thumb down as much as I can. And I'm just gonna follow the base of his skull right here. He can keep his chin down as much as he wants to, and I'm gonna get under. I'm gonna just hook, not my thumb like the nail, but I'm gonna hook that knuckle, and I'm just gonna kind of wiggle that knuckle. Second thing I'm gonna do with this, chin down, is I'm gonna put the flat lapel, flat of his chest, drive it down and under. And I kind of use this knuckle to push it under and lift his chin a little if I need to, so I can make that hand off. I should be able to make that hand off on anybody. I've never had anybody that stopped me from getting the gi under, right? Based on doing this or any of that stuff. So again, with this hand, I just follow the base of the skull, find the jawline, and when you find that jawline, if you just start giving it a little bit of this, you know, you'll get right under. And I just stay on the jaw. I mean, it can be easy if they just stop tucking their chin. I'll be easy. But if they want it to be hard, it can be hard, whatever they want, right? And then this one here, flat to the chest, my hand's too low. I take it, grab it, I strip my hand down wherever it's right about my thumb's right at the chin, flat to the chest. If they're doing this, I use my thumb to ratchet it under as well. And then slide down a little, flat hand off. So with your partner, you guys want to, like 2 reps each, don't go too hard on each other. Play around with that, wiggling that under and wiggling this under, and then meet hand to hand. Let's go. Try not to get it. It's always amazing the things that set people off. And, you know, like
some people's wrist logs, you know. It's like,
Thank you. I appreciate it.
all right, guys, good class.